Hello, scumbags. I'm Erin, and thanks for watching. This week marks the 1-year anniversary of Rebel Scum podcast. We thought it'd be cool to bring you back to the very beginning and listen to the very first episode that Brock and James recorded. You can hear them speculate on Rey, how The Last Jedi will unravel, and the top 5 Star Wars films. Enjoy!
Hey everyone, and welcome to Rebel Scum podcast.
Hey,
with
Brock
and James.
Oh, what is this podcast about, James?
I don't know. Tell me.
It's a podcast of two galactic scoundrels, you and me, who just love Star Wars.
Pew, 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 pew.
And you're asking yourself, why do we need another Star Wars podcast?
Yeah, I was asking that.
You know what, Internet? I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, it's free.
I have the ability to record our voices, and I have a SoundCloud membership. I can do whatever the hell I want. Nobody's gonna listen to this. Just our moms.
No,
that's true. My mom won't listen to me. She won't even accept my Facebook invitation to be friends.
Oh, she's my friend on Facebook.
That sounds right.
Yep.
Sounds right. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna talk about Star Wars because we love it.
We do.
Would you say it's the basis of our relationship?
I would say it's a foundation.
Because would you say you didn't talk to me until you knew I liked Star Wars?
Yeah, I think it was around there. That's why I continued talking to you.
Is it because I admired your imitation of? Oh God, this is terrible. Who's the guy that sells Anakin in Phantom Menace? Watto.
I can't do it in front of
Sorry, I'm getting old. Our credibility as Star Wars experts just went out the window.
I love Watto. My first email address, Watto67@hotmail.
First email address, ewokdude@hotmail.com.
Forever friends.
I promise one of us is married.
She's not listening to this either.
So yeah, we're going to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll figure out what we're going to do each time with the show, but I think we got an idea. So why don't you take the reins?
All right. So when I was on the Googles.
You were on the Googles?
I was on the Googles. I saw this interesting theory going around right now that says that Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, the green one that he makes it right before Return of the Jedi, before we see him in Jabba's palace with it, apparently the crystal used in that lightsaber used to belong to Qui-Gon Jinn. It was Qui-Gon's lightsaber crystal.
So
that he had.
So it's not Qui-Gon's lightsaber.
It's not his lightsaber, but it's a crystal inside of it, which at first when I read that, I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. And then now I think it's the coolest thing ever, and I want it to be real.
But why? Why is this a theory?
I don't know why it's a theory. But I think what I like about the theory, though, personally, what I like about it is that because each Jedi has their own personalized crystals. Right? So I think it's cool about this one is Luke uses his father's lightsaber. Mm-hmm. The second one, then he obviously trains for a long period of time between Empire and Jedi. There's like a long period of time where he's training.
Shadow of the Empire, you mean?
Well, that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, yes, it's non-canon.
Yeah, so there's this gap now where nothing happens in Star Wars land, but he becomes a super Jedi, and Han Solo's like, what? No way! Like, so something happens in there. And part of what should probably happen would be he would need to construct his own lightsaber. Yes,
right.
So why I think it's cool, though, is because Qui-Gon dies, Obi-Wan takes his lightsaber, Obi-Wan uses lightsaber, but then he gets a different lightsaber. Obi-Wan has his own personal lightsaber. So something happens with Qui-Gon's lightsaber.
Right.
I get maybe Obi-Wan keeps it in storage, kind of like he did with Anakin's, whatever, where he took it apart and just had the crystalline somewhere. But what I think is, so maybe he took it back to Tatooine, but at some point Yoda's going to be like, you need to make a lightsaber. So what I think is cool is that Qui-Gon, without Qui-Gon, there would be no Luke in the sense that Qui-Gon goes to Shmi, who has Anakin, and then Qui-Gon's like, no, and Qui-Gon's the reason why he does it. So I think that would be the crystal that kind of pulls Luke towards. It's actually kind of a cool theory. Now, I don't think necessarily that should happen in a movie.
It should just be in the background.
I don't have to watch the next movie, and he's like, hey, Rey, I made this with Qui-Gon, and who cares? Like, but if you made a book in between where people like us read it, we're like, oh, cool. No one needs to know that, but for us, I think... So that's why I don't think it's real. I
can get behind that.
But I think if you do it that way, I think it actually works out pretty neat.
Do you think it'd be like Obi-Wan had the lightsaber in his hut on Tatooine, and then Luke goes back at some point and gets it.
Yeah, like I think Yoda says you have to go on this quest to find
like something calls it. Like because if you watch Clone Wars, in the episode where the younglings make their own lightsabers, the crystal calls to you, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that would be an interesting crystal.
Yeah.
To call out to Luke. I mean, it's somebody's theory that somebody else made up that I'm completely now. If they do it in like the right way, I think I'm like, yeah, I'm totally.
That'd be pretty sweet, actually. I can get behind that.
Yeah, it's better than Darth Jar Jar. Definitely better than Darth Jar Jar. But at the same time, if Darth Jar Jar happened in Attack of the Clones, it would have been awesome.
It would be great.
It clearly was never a thought. Yeah. So there's another theory going on. We'll move on.
Yeah.
Move on to Rey's heritage. The topic of the most. You love this one.
As long as this podcast exists, I will not want to listen to anything about Reys Lineage. Because we all know episode 8, which will be in 2 Christmases.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
We will find out something.
I think we're going to have to. I think. Well, people think that she's Luke's daughter. That's the most popular one, but I think I don't think that's going to be a thing anymore.
Of course not. But we're putting this on record that if episode 8 occurs and it turns out that Luke is Rey's father, I am going to promptly leave the theater.
I think if we do find out it's going to happen really, really early, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah. But anyways, sorry. So
that's coming up.
Let's talk about it.
So we're going to talk about this one that our friend Andrew Fantasia brought up to me.
Oh, okay.
Now it's blown up on the internet. I don't think he came up with this, but he has this. He loves Palpatine, the Emperor. His favorite Star Wars character.
Right.
And he said, he called me like a month ago. He's like, hey, what if Palpatine is Rey's grandfather? And he was like, well, and the thing is, if you remember when the first full trailer for Force Awakens came out, when Rey shoots the gun, I think I texted him like, she looks like she's full of hate and anger. Like, there seems to be a little bit of darkness to her that I find there to be some darkness to it. And even, I think it was in the book, in the novelization of it, Kylo, he brings that up. He's like, you've got a lot of anger in you. And it's weird that they don't put that in the movie. Like, I think that and when he says it is you, he says it both in the novelization and the Lego game.
Okay, back up. You need to give more explanation. So in the novelization,
that's right. I went off on a topic there. So yes, but mostly I'm talking about when he says that there's a lot of anger in her.
Who's this?
Kylo. When they're fighting at the end of the book, he says the's a lot of anger in you. I could teach you.
Yeah.
You need a teacher. That's what it all.
But then in the book and in, like you said, the Lego Star Wars game,
he recognizes her from somewhere, which I'm assuming we're going to find out in episode 8.
Yeah.
Where we don't know, how we don't know, but he says it is you, and he said, and it was like when I read in the book, I'm like, okay, because that's kind of like in the Phantom Menace novelization. Yeah. Anakin, I believe, says to Padme, "I'm going to marry you one day."
Yeah.
Which, whatever. So you're kind of, so when I read in the book, I'm like, okay, well, they've done it before in the books, but then they do it in the Lego game. Like,
that's crazy.
That's the thing. Like, he says it in the Lego game, and I was just like, what? How do you put it in the book? Whatever. But as soon as you put it in the Lego game, why is it not in the movie? There has to be, like, I'm not sure why they didn't add that to the movie. That's all.
Yeah.
I find it strange.
You know what? I haven't read the book yet, and I do want to read it, but, like, I can believe it, because in the scene, in the actual Force Awakens, when the guy says, oh, the droid got away off of a freighter, and it's like, he had help. It's like, by who? And she says, a girl. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
You're waiting for, like, what? Or he says, what girl, right? So I was like, oh, whoa. It's like, it was almost a sense of recognition, even though.
But then when he meets the girl, he doesn't really react to her.
Exactly.
And then it's like but then I think when she gets in his head, he kind of starts figuring it out. And I think when he talks to Snoke, and then he comes back and he tells the stormtroopers, every minute she's gone, she grows more powerful. I think that's when he knows who she is.
Yeah.
I just find it weird that they would take it out of the movie, but leave it in the book and leave it in a Lego game. It's just.
But anyways,
I mean, we all got it. I guess.
Yeah.
It's still. He obviously knows who she is.
So the theory then is.
So the theory is that Palpatine got it on with somebody, and they got it on with somebody, and then they had Rey, and. I don't exactly know how the whole thing goes, but apparently Rey or Luke recognized this in Rey, and that's why he hit her on Jakku, because he didn't want Kylo and stuff together.
Right.
So I mean, I don't necessarily buy it at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting theory. I personally, right now, the theory that I like the most is that she's the next chosen, not Anakin reincarnated. I like that she's the next chosen one. I think that's the theory that I'm on board with the most.
Right.
I mean, I'm also, if I walk in there like you're Palpatine, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll like it probably. I don't care.
Yeah.
As long as it's done right, and I think it will be. But for me, right now, I think the next chosen one makes sense in a way because of the lightsaber's reaction to her and her knowledge and how powerful she is. And it could, and to get off topic again, but another way, I really think they need to validate the prequels a lot, right? And I think that way you can bring in Hayden Christensen,
right,
in a way that makes sense and what it can do is it can take you back to the prequels without you even needing to watch them if you really don't want to.
Right, yeah.
And it justifies him being in Return of the Jedi, which I am one of the 7 people that actually like that addition.
And like the guy that played the Emperor is still alive, so he could play. Put some makeup on him, and he can look. You could flashback, though. I don't know. Is flashbacks not really a Star Wars thing?
When Rian Johnson handed the script, he said he was surprised that Disney allowed it. And then Lawrence Kasdan said that it's not like any other Star Wars script ever.
Yeah, Rian Johnson, who's directing
Episode 8.
Right.
Which I just want to bring up in Episode 8. I think there's a really good chance that it's not going to start traditionally.
Yes.
I think it's going to say a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then we're going to go right to the island.
Yeah.
And we're going to finish that scene that didn't finish. And I really think, and that's when something big is going to be said in that scene, whether it's who her father is, who she is, something around there is going to happen. Maybe who her mother is. Something big's going to happen, and then we're going to get the boom right there. And that's what I think. I'm probably way off, but I mean, how else do you go from the ending that we just had?
Yeah.
Because they say it's picking up right where it left off.
Yeah.
So then the crawl would have to be Poe, Finn, Leia, blah, 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 First Order, blah, 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 and Rey is still with Luke. Or Rey just met Luke. And then you're like, so, because who knows the time that took but it's still weird that, I don't know. I can't see them doing it any other way. And I wouldn't be opposed.
I agree.
I wouldn't really be opposed to that either because it's different. I mean, Attack of the Clones, the camera pans up instead of down at the beginning after the crawl. It's the only one to do that.
Oh,
spoiler alert! But that's just that's what I think. I don't know. What do you think?
It's funny that you bring up the theory of Palpatine being her grandfather. It's basically the premise of the new Harry Potter book.
Is it? I haven't read that yet.
I just got it yesterday. It's a script, right? It's a play. So I'm like 40 pages away from being near the end, and this isn't really a spoiler for that if you want to read it. It's just like the premise is that they think that Voldemort had a child at some point, and now that's why it's called Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of like that. Now, maybe I'm not remembering these correct. Maybe I should get out my Star Wars encyclopedia, which is now no longer canon. It's actually behind you. See it by the white book there? Yeah. But like when you bring up the fact with Palpatine, like as him having an offspring, wasn't General Thrawn supposed to be him or like a clone of him or something along those lines?
Well, Thrawn, but that doesn't matter anymore anyway.
It doesn't, but
but Thrawn was during the Emperor's time, wasn't he?
No, it's after.
Yeah, but wasn't he around during?
He was around. Like Thrawn, who's one of the more popular characters in the expanded universe prior to Disney buying Star Wars,
and now they brought him back.
Is now. It was announced at Celebration. In Europe in England this year.
It was Europe.
It is true. It's true. Well,
no, they're still called it Europe.
They're still called it Europe. Okay. Thrawn will be in the new season of Clone Wars, the Clone Wars. God, Rebels. Sorry. So that's really cool because he's a very exciting character. But now they can totally rejig his story. But I believe Thrawn was a clone or something like that. So that's why I bring it up. It's like, well, he had that. Like, I don't know. When you think of Palpatine is just like asexual.
That's why I'm not behind that theory. I'm not I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not behind it because I also think because they didn't tell us, people are expecting something big. So if it's not something big or it's Luke, you gotta get out of the way right away. Like, it just needs to happen. Because this isn't Darth Vader being Luke's father where nobody expected it. This is like everyone's expecting it. Who is she? So if she's nobody, if she's like, oh, you're just somebody really strong in the Force, tell me right away. Don't make me wait for that. Like, tell me right away. I think actually no matter who it is, they got to get it out of the way right away. Because you don't want to spend 2 hours in the theater. You're waiting for it. Everyone's waiting for it.
What I could say about that is, yes, I agree. Like, it has to start right away on the island. Because time can't pass, or the only way you can get out of like having time pass between the two movies, even though they said it's not going to be like that, is like this has happened. The scroll comes down. This has happened with this person, and this has with this person, and then the end should be. And after a few months, Rey has almost completed her training with Luke Skywalker. And then you could have them having a conversation, like training, and then and Rey saying, "Why won't you tell me anything?" That's
you could do that.
You could do that. I feel like it's a cop out.
Also, you're assuming that Luke is just going to train her. I think he obviously is, but is he going to be reluctant? Like Yoda was reluctant, and
we don't know why. We really don't know why he left.
I mean, if he did drop her off on Jakku, would he want like? There's a reason why he left her there.
Yeah.
So, who knows? Star Wars. There's so many questions.
But does this go into your next topic on like what we think is going to happen in Episode 8?
Yeah, we could go right into it.
Okay, so maybe we use this as a jumping off point. That's going to happen, but then what else is that movie going to be? Like, what story threads do we need to fill or pull up or continue?
There's so many... Yeah, like because whenever you ask somebody about Episode 8, they automatically go Luke and Rey.
Yeah,
and then Kylo Ren's training, and everyone's like, "Well, it's going to be them training, and then the Sith training, and there's going to be like two sides of training." Yeah. But then there's Poe, Finn, Leia. I mean, Chewie and R2 are just off on the Falcon right now on the bottom of an island. Maybe they get a romance.
Do you think they'll start writing out old characters?
No. I don't think they're going to write that.
I mean, like Chewbacca and C-3PO, well, the R2 and BB-8, of course. Well, BB-8's going nowhere. No,
BB-8's
but like of the old canon characters are like, the main cast from the original series, or the original trilogy. Like Chewbacca, they could keep around forever because you could put any actor in there.
Well, now they have that Swedish guy.
Yeah, because Peter Mayhew can barely walk. So good guy, but like being that tall, your bones. So and he's what in his 70s now.
Yeah, well, he still loves it.
Yeah, he's got a lightsaber walking cane.
That's awesome. I don't. No, go on.
And then R2, anyone can be that. C-3PO, the problem is you need Anthony Daniels' voice, but with the technology.
Has anyone else done a 3PO voice?
Well, he wasn't the 3PO voice in Clone Wars, so then
he wasn't.
No,
that guy's good then.
And the droid show might have been him. I don't know. I can't
remember droids, but Clone Wars. That's a good impression then.
Yeah, that was spot on. I think maybe like when in the first episode or that movie they made that was like the first episode for Clone Wars, it might have been his voice, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I could be wrong, but whatever.
That's not important.
But then, I agree. It's definitely because really what you want to know coming out of that movie is like who is Rey and what is going to happen to Kylo.
Yeah,
and I want to know like Knights of Ren. I want to know what that is. Like Kylo Ren, there's no way they're knights of him. So Ren is like Darth, right?
Yeah, Snoke does say he's the master. Does he say he's the master of the Knights of Ren or a master of the Knights of Ren?
Ooh, good question.
It's like someone get the subtitles up.
Quick, let's just watch the movie right now. Let me set the scene.
Yeah.
A long time ago in a galaxy far away.
Skywalker has vanished.
You see a planet, and then it's plotted out by a super Star Destroyer.
And then Kylo Ren's super cool, and he stops a blaster shot.
And then he was like, "I'm going to finish what you started." Yeah, so that's for sure. Where are they going to go with Leia? Like,
you haven't read Bloodline yet.
No,
great book. So they're going to go somewhere where Rian Johnson contributed to Bloodline in some way. I don't know what way. Apparently, there's a napkin scene in it. He had a lot to do with that.
Sweet. Crap, I'm going to have to read all these things.
Yeah. But it's very heavy on the politics. It's a political thriller in a lot of ways.
Which I wouldn't mind reading because it's kind of confusing in Force Awakens where it's like there was the rebellion and now there's the resistance. Like,
that's pretty...
Because I got the sense that, like...
The resistance is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing, but it's a completely different entity on its own. The rebellion doesn't exist.
Yeah, they don't make it the New Republic or anything like that. Because that's, following the old ways. Because there was the Republic and the Senate. I'll let you read it. Republic and the Empire.
I'll let you read it.
Okay,
there is a Senate, though.
And Senate was... I said that was the wrong word, but yeah.
Yeah. It's got some interesting characters that I just... Some of them I'm like, oh, is that person going to be in the movie? Is that person?
Yeah.
Because I feel like, for her storyline, that book might play a huge part. And not play a part, because I still believe, and I think Disney's the same, and Lucasfilm and everything, where the movies are the movies, nothing else exists.
Yeah.
We get the books and the comics and the video games and whatever else, the puzzles. We get them all, and they're little like cherries for us to enjoy. Yeah. So I don't think that the movie's not going to be a continuation of the book, obviously, but I think there are things in that book that are going to come to play in the next movie in the sense that characters exist and you're going to see them on screen. And you're not going to need to know who they are, but if you know who they are, you're going to be like, oh, that person is that.
Well, it's like how like Snap Wexley is big in Bloodlines? No.
Aftermath.
But
his name's not Snap.
Oh, it's but that's his nickname.
Yeah. And he doesn't get it though until Life Debt.
Oh, okay, yeah. But like he's pretty prominent obviously in Poe Dameron in the comic. He's a side character and he's almost nothing. He's just like, hey, look, there's Grunberg.
He's playable in the Lego game.
Oh, nice.
He's like you're either Poe or Snap. You flip it, and I'm like, I want to be Snap.
Right.
He has the same body type as me.
Like if they never made those books, he would just like, oh, he's like Parkins. He's that guy. He doesn't die.
He doesn't. Let's go episode 8. Knights of Ren, though, I think you're gonna get a heavy dose of who they are. I think we're gonna see them. I don't know how.
Is Rey's gonna train to be a Jedi, but is she now the captain of the Millennium Falcon? What is the fallout of Han Solo's death?
Well, she has it.
Yeah, they're
her, Chewie. See, if she trains with Luke, are they going to send Chewie and R2 away with the Falcon? Or are they going to keep the Falcon? Because then it's really, I think, most interesting thing about that ending in The Force Awakens is that Chewie and R2 are there.
Yeah.
R2 not so much. He's always been Luke's droid.
Yeah.
But Chewie's there.
Yeah.
So
maybe this will be his mourning period, right? Like he'll just sit on the other side of the island and like not want to do anything.
But how long will Rey be training? I think they're going to get... I think they're there. Mm-hmm. Luke and Rey will have that conversation at the very beginning. Something will happen. They'll go on the one. Then he'll reluctantly train her. And then I think the First Order is going to find them there. And I think they're going to have to get off of that island quickly. And I think that's how you get them off the island right away.
Right.
Or they go off the island to train them. But I think the First Order is going to find them because they already have pretty much everything they need except for that last little bit. And I'm sure they'll be able to get that by then.
Mm-hmm. Will we see Maz Kanata?
Yes, 100%. Well, Brian Johnson tweeted or Instagrammed a picture of her.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, but that's a character I want to talk to you about, actually.
Why?
What were your thoughts on Maz?
I liked her. She's kind of a Yoda character, kind of. I mean, she's Force sensitive. We don't know exactly Lars Van Tekka, like if he was a Jedi or Jedi sensitive, like with Max Van Sydow's character that dies at the beginning.
That was a character that when you read the scroll at the beginning, I was like so excited to know who that they were talking about.
Right.
And I was a little let down because I was really hoping it was somebody that we've seen in a movie before.
Right.
Not like Lando or anyone, but somebody small, like a background. You're like, oh my god, that guy. Oh, but it was somebody that we still don't know anything about. Like, or I was hoping it was somebody from Aftermath or like a book that I've read that I'm like, this character, because it's an old friend, but it's nobody that we know. So how old of a friend is he?
Yeah.
So
no, it's like I like Maz's character because I know where you could go with her because she knows things without actually being in the other movies. Like so yeah, I
like Maz. I think she was a little underused in Force Awakens. It was almost like I was expecting a little bit more from her because of that, especially because of that trailer or commercial that came out where it was like she was so your eyes and all that. I was like, ooh, it was all this, but it was a little bit underwhelming because of that. But she looks and the acting like spot on. I love Maz.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I really think a lot of the Force Awakens. I love the Force Awakens, but there's a lot of it is like I feel like the next one's gonna make it so much better because you're gonna get to know more about this and that and everything, right? Yeah. Because they had a lot to do in that movie.
Well, I mean, A New Hope was kind of the same thing. It's like, first we're here, then we're here, when they're here, then we're here.
But I think in New Hope, though, I think the characters are fleshed out a little bit more because it's also a standalone movie.
And you're only really follling like 5 characters, right?
Exactly. This one had a lot to do. I think they did a lot of it well. I'm just saying, Maz, I really think she's... I think there's going to be a lot more to her. I'm really hoping there's a lot more to her.
So we're both under the understanding that when Starkiller Base exploded, General Hux got to Kylo before it exploded.
Yeah, well, even in the book.
Oh, what does it say?
It says that he gets in a ship and picks him up.
They just take it out.
Yeah, I guess in the movie you don't need to see that. You just assume that.
Yeah.
But that's a good question because people do think that they didn't make it.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the book, it definitely says that they get picked up.
Adam Driver's a pretty big actor right now. They're not getting rid of him.
No, but I think the First Order is going to get to the island, and I think that's what's going to... Or maybe the Knights of Ren gets to the island.
And then I guess with Finn, we'll maybe get a little bit of his backstory, or then like maybe explanation of how the First Order was able to get people to give their children away.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently in Life Debt, the book, Hux's father is mentioned in Bloodline.
Okay.
And he's heavily mentioned in Life... I haven't read all of Life Debt. I'm only a few chapters in. And he's mentioned there a lot. And I believe right now where I'm at is they're trying to find him because he knows a way to get kids. I can't remember. Like to get people to... He believes in that kind of thing. So his father plays a big role in the expanded universe of Star Wars right now. The canon... expanded universe of Star Wars. So I think I don't know if we're going to learn that in the movies though. I think some things in the movies are just going to kind of be like whatever, like the crystals and the lightsabers. They've never been mentioned in a movie before except for the deleted scene in Jedi when you see Luke put together. But
so what do you think? Are we going to guess at what the title will be?
What do you think?
I think it's got to center, like you said, it's going to center around the training of finishing Kylo's training as a whatever, because he never says a Sith Lord, just the dark side. I hope they do away with the Sith Lord, quite frankly, because it was stuff they just made up.
I feel even when Han's talking, he never says Sith; he says light side and dark side.
Yeah.
So I think Sith is... The problem is it's so heavy in the first 3 movies. And,
but like I know it's not canon anymore. We should actually, for the show, we should make a button that says, just like, we hit it, and it says, not canon! Patoo! When you read some of the expanded universe Star Wars... that are no longer canon, which means they don't connect. Nothing said in it is true now. Prior to the prequels being made, so early 90s, late 80s, when they started writing all this stuff and it got popular, they never used the word Sith. When they talk about Vader, he's a Dark Lord. That's it. Or the Force, or something like that.
Yeah.
There's no Sith. So it's just like, when I read stuff, it's like, oh yeah, George Lucas, and I thought this. I was like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah.
It makes sense to have that they have a name, right? Because it's a battle between the Jedi and the Sith.
And the Sith there can only be 2 at a time.
Yeah.
Master and Apprentice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there could be a lot of Dark Force users that aren't necessarily Sith Lords.
Yeah, and then that's what, like, non-canon stuff used to have. Like, there's, like, animals there. Well, no, I guess it is canon again, because there's in Clone War, probably in Clone Wars, but more specifically Rebels, there's animals that are Force sensitive, right?
Yeah.
But what is this movie going to be called?
It could be called anything.
Oh, I feel something to do with Apprentice.
Yeah? Master and Apprentice?
Master and Apprentice. Apprentice.
It could just be the Knights of Ren.
Proof.
Just episode 8, Knights of Ren. It's hard because we don't really know much about the movie.
No. Yeah, we know nothing.
Not much is known. So I was thinking like Rise of like the Sith or First Order. Rise of the First Order.
Yeah.
Like Empire Strikes Back. Are you going to follow the formula?
Yeah.
New Hope, Force Awakens.
New Hope. Phantom Menace.
Clone
Wars, which was the most.
But it's Attack of the Clones. Empire Strikes Back.
Attack of the Clones.
Right, and Empire Strikes Back. Is this going to be one? Is the focus going to be on the First Order taking over? Mm-hmm. Because that could be. Because you have to think, are they going to do a 7, 8, 9, and then take a break? Mm-hmm. 10, 11, 12? Because it says Star Wars is going on forever. So I think that they're going to go 7, 8, 9, and then a new trilogy of movies peppered with a couple other like Rogue One style Star Wars stories in between.
Yeah.
And then go back to the saga when everyone's a little bit older.
Right.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
But how do you, James? I don't know.
But how do you sell me on 7, 8, 9? And then, by the way, we're also doing 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So why do I need to keep going back? I think they have to stop at 9, wait a few years, then go back.
Yeah.
And tell me 3 separate stories.
Yeah.
Wait a few years, go back. 3 separate stories that connect, like, all of that.
That's true. Do we want 12 movies?
Eventually.
Yes, we want 12
movies.
But
I think over time.
Like, of that saga, like, you know.
And that's when you're like, well, when do they kill Luke off? When do they kill Leia off? And, like, or is Leia just going to buy? Leia passed away in her sleep 30 years ago.
Or just retires, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be, like, something.
But then, you don't really want to cheapen what has come before either, right? So, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like, this is all a fantasy trope, right? You know, the chosen one, some like small time person has some power, and he meets some wise person, and they go on a journey, and da-da-da-da-da. But they're, you know, like The Hobbit is that. The Hobbit is probably one of the first fantasy novels to use that formula. But The Hobbit leads to the Lord of the Rings. So Bilbo is the chosen one that has the ring and then passes it on. Yeah. So you could technically get you. Well, you have to. I don't think they want to do this forever.
They want to go on forever.
The movie, yes, but not the actors.
No, the actors, no. I think 6 movies is good for every character, not necessarily the actor, the character. Sure, like Obi Wan, 6 movies, you're good. That's fine. Anakin, 2, 3 movies, and Vader for 3. I don't know.
So basically, you're saying Star Wars is going to outlive us.
Oh, definitely.
Started before we were born, and it's going to end before we keep going.
I think as long as it makes money, they're not going to stop.
Oh yeah, I mean,
but I just think they're going to stop. I think what they should. I don't know what they should do. I think the plan would be go to 9, take a break, and they give me a new trilogy of whatever you want to give me. I don't know what you want to give me. Maybe I don't know what it would be. But the universe is so big.
Yeah.
It could be anything. They could go back in time. They can go forward in time. They can go somewhere in that time period, it'll be like, wow, that was happening. This is happening.
I guess it depends on the success of Rebel Squadron. And yes. We really shouldn't do this after I get home from work. Yeah, I mean, Rogue One, like, if they can do a movie where there's no Jedi and it's characters you've almost never met, then, sky's the limit. This is, like, Rogue One is their Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, well, speaking of Rogue One, the commercial, the TV spot, just dropped yesterday. Did you see it?
No.
I did. And it is the trailer that we've seen condensed into like 30 seconds.
Was this the one they released at Celebration that nobody got to see?
No, this isn't it. That one, I saw that one. It was shaky cam and terrible. And it was like a young Jyn Erso running and then talking. And then at the end, there's a shot of Vader, which is cool, but doesn't really show you anything. This TV spot is literally the trailer that we just saw. It starts off with an Imperial Star Destroyer. Then you see the dish going into the Death Star. Yeah. Then you see Jyn punch a stormtrooper. Yeah. Donnie Yen hit someone. Everyone's hitting someone. And then Forrest Whitaker, what would you become? And then Rogue One, December. And I was like, there's not one new shot in the TV spot. It's 30 seconds, but it's interesting to me that they've had one trailer and a couple pictures on Entertainment Week. Like, there's nothing new has been shown. Yeah, like that. What was it that we did see when we watched the stream of Celebration? That was different. Yeah, that was the behind the scenes thing. Behind the scenes, what do they Space Monkey. Space Monkey. That thing is phenomenal. That was way better because at the end where they just flashed faces. Like that was awesome. The sizzle reel. That's what they call it. The sizzle reel. No, that was great. It's just that was great. But yeah, the TV spot is just a condensed version of that trailer, and it's and the thing that's weird though is that it got leaked that Vader was going to be in it. Yeah, I think everybody knew that, but it got leaked. Yeah. Then they announced he's going to be in it in that article. Yeah. In Think Entertainment Weekly or whatever it was, and then we haven't seen him yet. Yeah. Like I don't care about seeing him because I've seen him, but but the thing is, there are people who you talk to, and they're like, "Oh, I can't wait for Christmas. I want to see what's happening with Rey." It's like, but that's not this one. That's so true, though, because they don't know. Because it's so confusing. Like, why would they know? So, because they had Mon Mothma in the trailer, James, and everybody knows who that is. I love that when you watch the reaction videos, all the Star Wars nerds are like, Mon Mothma, and I show it to some people, and they're like, who is that? And I'm like, did you see Mon Mothma? I don't know what that is. I don't like moths. Oh man, yeah, but I think. Well, I mean, there's still 5 months to go. Yeah. So a lot of marketing to go. But it's interesting to me, though, that they announced Vader. They haven't shown any Vader. Mm-hmm. And the TV spot is just a short version of what we've already seen. Like, I can understand that in November. You're like, this is a short version of what I just showed you. But now I'm like, well. This almost makes me want to ask the question, but I already know the answer. It makes me want to ask the question of, are you worried that there'll ever be a time where there's a Star Wars movie that you're like, that was garbage? Yeah. Oh, yeah. But then I think a lot of people would argue that the prequels were kind of garbage. People would argue that. But I think the prequels were also in a different era. Yeah. Whereas we knew we were getting 1, 2, 3, and then no more ever again was almost like what it was. And it was, we knew what was going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen in 7, 8, 9. I think it's 7. Part of the reason why people are disappointed by the prequels, too, is that they know what's going to happen. So everybody had an idea. Like, I remember. Oh, it's just a matter of time. I remember Grad Night at Wonderland, 1999, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Old time, high school grad, Canada's Wonderland. And we were in line, roller coaster, people were talking, they're like, oh, and then Anakin, he's gonna get beat up by Obi Wan in a volcano, and he's gonna fall in the volcano. And everyone had like the idea of what, and they're like, and the Clone Wars, because remember Luke mentions the Clone Wars, and the Clone Wars are happening. Mm-hmm. And everyone had a thought, a theory in their head, had the movie already in their head, and I think that created a lot of, on top of other things as well. But I think that was a lot of people went in expecting one thing, they got something completely different, and sometimes maybe they're right. They should have got something a little bit different. Yeah, but I'm one of the people that really enjoy the prequels. Yeah, I mean, I sit and watch them. and I don't care.
It's like, you know, and we're going to talk about books and comics later, but like that's what's fun about the Star Wars comics, because you can watch stuff that happened during the original trilogy in these comics where they're jumping around and the lightsabers, like you couldn't do those things in 1970, 1980. And we could do, like, that was kind of the fun thing about the prequels. Like, you could see Yoda do a lightsaber fight because he's not a puppet anymore. He's a CG.
And I think for me personally, my favorite lightsaber duel is still Darth Maul and Qui-Gon in Phantom Menace. I think that's my favorite one. And then after that, probably Darth Vader and Luke in Empire.
Yeah, and like when you, if you were to like watch them at the same time, it's a lot of just walking.
Yeah.
I mean, like Mark Hamill jumps around and stuff, but like that was kind of like if you watch Rebels and Darth Vader's in that, and you can play him in Battlefront as Darth Vader. The funny thing in Battlefront is like he just sort of walks.
Yeah.
Because but in comics and in video games, he's able to jump around, and it's because he looks so robotic, and then the actor actually in it couldn't move around like that. So
I think in the Lords of the Sith book, he doesn't jump, he just walks. Yeah. But he can destroy you.
Exactly. I mean, he's so powerful that he doesn't need to do all that stuff. But I think, I mean, we don't have a Jedi for him to fight in Rogue One. I don't know how big of a role.
No, he's not. They say there's gonna be no Jedi. I hope the Rogue One Vader is the Battlefront Twilight Company Vader or Lords of the Sith Vader, where
he just walks.
Well, Twilight Company is awesome because he kills someone at the beginning of the book, and like no one knows how. No one, like, Vader's kind of like a myth. Like people kind of heard of him, they don't really know much about him. And then this guy goes up, and then I think it's in their comms. I read it like a year ago, but it's in their comms. And all he hears is like that, and he's dead. And like, what? Vader just killed this guy. And then he's like one of the best guys. Like, how did Vader do it? But and then Vader's not in the book very much, but he's always there. His presence is felt. They're like, Vader, this Darth Vader guy, blah blah. And then he shows up and just like boom, 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 takes them all out. That's the Vader I hope shows up in Rogue One. I just take it because again after Revenge of the Sith, everyone was like, whoa, he's just sad because this girl, blah. And I think you put that in between Sith and New Hope, and you put Vader just all of a sudden the beginning of that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh, he's gonna kill Leia. He's gonna kill it. So also he yeah.
All right, let's go to the next thing.
All right, let's go to the books.
Books?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't read any of the books.
No, books are comics.
Books or comics? Do you want me to start with comics?
Yeah, how about you start? Yeah.
All right, hold on. I gotta pick up my comics. So, I have been reading Poe Dameron because that's the first Force Awakens related title to come out through Marvel. And it's very good. A lot of people aren't liking it. Like, I read reviews every Thursday after comics come out. I like to see people's view on it, and they didn't like it because not a lot happens. Like, but it's more of like like they're pilots. They're not Jedi. They don't have a mission to it. They have a mission, but it's not. They have to go. Like, the premise is, this is why he starts looking for Lars Santeca. Santeca.
That's cool.
So, like, that's the premise of it. There's been. It's 4 issues, and they wrapped up the first story in the first 3 issues. But the story really is like, we got to go find this guy, and he's developing Black Squadron, which is I don't know all the names, but obviously there's Snapbuck. See, I'm pointing at the cover of issue number 3. They resolve the one thing, and then they go to in the 4th one. They go.
This one intrigues me a lot.
They find out that somebody knows where he is, but it's a Hutt. Like Jabba the Hutt, it's a Hutt criminal that's in a prison world.
Oh, no.
It's a prison that's a planet. And they're like, yeah, you can go see him, but you have to go there, and you can't take guns. And once you get on the ground, you're on your own. So it's kind of cool. Like, it's like, I think with that book, they're just like, well, let's just take what's really cool about the Star Wars world and just go on wacky adventures. The neat thing is you're meeting the pilots that you see at the Battle of... what do they call in the movie now? You've read the book? When they attack Star-Killer Base. It's just, is it the...
I don't think they call it anything.
Because, you know, like there's a Battle of Yavin, there's a Battle of Hoth, right? Well, they'll just call it that. Those characters you see in the X-Wings are in this, and it's cool. The one alien guy that gets blown up.
Spoiler alert.
In Force Awakens. Sorry, it's been over a year. Not Nyan Yum.
The Beastie Boys song.
Yeah. But that guy, he's in this, but he's like a tech. He's not a pilot yet, which is kind of neat. And then also it has the one character that's in Shattered Empire, Star Wars Shattered Empire, which is a miniseries that came out right when Marvel finally got the rights to Star Wars. And it was like what happened right after Return of the Jedi. And it was really cool because it had Poe Dameron's parents in it. Yeah. And Poe...
And a force tree.
That's the whole mission, to find a force tree. And his mother is a pilot, and she flies with this guy. I forget. I should have really done research. It's in here. But anyways, that guy is in Shattered Empire, and now he's he's like a veteran pilot, and he's
cool.
Poe Dameron's like sort of like Obi Wan, if you will. So that's kind of cool. I like it. I'm really big into X-Wing pilots, so I like this. I'm also when Marvel took over, they started a Star Wars like ongoing, which was right after New Hope.
You bought me the first one.
Yeah. So I read the first couple issues. It was really cool, and that was a great example of like, oh, this is so cool. Like you see Luke and like Vader fighting with lightsabers, and they don't like we're at a point where Vader doesn't know that Luke is his son, or
that's when
he barely knows what his name is, right?
Is it the canon comic now where Boba Fett is hired by Vader?
Yes.
And Boba Fett
that occurs. I believe it's either in this one, in the Star Wars ongoing, or it's the Darth Vader one. I think it's this one.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah.
So I kind of jumped off that for a bit, but since we were doing this, I was like, oh, I'll pick it up again. And one of the issues I picked up was one part of the Obi Wan, the Journal of Obi Wan, that Luke apparently finds on Tatooine. And he's like, you can see this picture, this cover here. He's young, like he's like substantially older than what Obi Wan looks like in Revenge of the Sith. And he's fighting a Wookiee, but it's not Chewbacca. He's all black. It's so cool. Like
that looks cool.
He's like Luke Skywalker knows he's Ben Kenobi. So like you're seeing how Luke knew who he was, and like there's interaction between him and Uncle Ben, and it's so great. Without spoiling, it's great. I'm all on this again. I know it's periodically through the ongoing one. There's one before it that I want to get a hold of, and I think then they go back to a normal story. I think there's one with Leia right now. I have a couple being saved up. But yeah, no, that one is really good. For Star Wars fans, you need to get a hold of Star Wars with the Obi-Wan journals. It's so good.
I want that a poster on my wall of that.
Yeah. Oh, God,
it's awesome.
Like I would, if we're gonna have movies where it's just about something, Obi-Wan, like let's get Ewan McGregor back in that cloak. Yeah. Like I would watch that.
I'd watch that.
He doesn't even have to do anything. He's
the perfect age right now.
Go on vacation.
Yeah, he's the perfect age right now.
Yeah.
To do any story you want to do with him.
And then finally, I have the Force Awakens Star Wars, like the actual, like it's showing you the movie in comic book form. Not as exciting in the movie. Not really. It's not one I say, oh, you have to have this. But I was thinking about it. It's good. But you read it, it feels like it's going very fast. It's, when you watch it and you know the movie, you're like, oh, man.
Is it all just one comic?
It's like, it's going to be a miniseries.
Yeah.
Like, I have the first 2 issues there, and I think they're just about to get to Maz's place.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's cool because then you can see how things are spelled, like Ganja Club, which I already knew that, but like it's kind of neat.
You got to see in probably the last issue if Kylo says it is you.
Oh yeah, so I'll keep reading it. Yeah. I will say though, it's good. What it's good for is for kids. Like if I were to suggest a reader, this would be good when it's like all done in a a trait, like a kid would love this. Like it's just like, oh yeah. So
yeah, just looking at the movie.
But yeah, like some exciting stuff. There's there's the Darth Vader ongoing, which I think is actually finishing up soon. There's the Chewbacca.
Two issues left, I think.
But you can't read them all. I don't know. But yeah. Right now, anything Obi Wan in the ongoing Star Wars, I am all over that.
I gotta check those out.
All right, so tell me about books.
I'm gonna go with if you like the Poe Dameron one, I think you'll definitely like Bloodline.
Yeah,
mostly there are characters in Bloodline that first off you find out Han Solo is a racer. He races in that, and there are other pilots in that kind of have like little storylines that don't really do much to enhance anything, but they're there.
Right,
and the ending, I don't want to give it away, but the ending is it pays off nicely. Like when the book ended, I was like, oh sweet, it got me there. It gets you to where you want it to go, but you kind of want more meat to it.
Yeah.
So hopefully there are more books that come out in that time period that kind of establish it. But you see that the New Republic is not working perfectly.
Right.
Yeah, there's populists and centrists, and Leia's a populist, and she befriends a centrist character, and they go on these missions, and they refer to her as a slut. They refer to her as a slut at the end. No, as a Hutt Slayer.
Oh, right, the Hutt Slayer.
Hutt Slayer.
I've heard that
it's
one.
So cool because it's like Hutt Slayer.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sweet. And then they don't say it for a while, and then it comes back and like, hey, Hutt Slayer, and Hutt Slayer. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And it's a really good story from Claudia Gray, who wrote Lost Stars, which is a great young adult novel. That one takes place during. I'm not going to talk much about that, but it takes place during. Just before New Hope, where they go to this Emperor's ball, and Princess Leia's there as a princess of Alderaan, so it's kind of cool. And then it's a romance about these two guys, and a guy and a girl, and they fall in love. And then one is like sees the Empire for what it is. Yeah. So he rejects it and joins the rebellion, and the other one is like she ends up being a pilot of a very important ship in canon now. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that. The book I really want to talk about is Aftermath. Yeah. Which came out September 4th, Force Friday last year. Right. 2015. And it got a lot of backlash. And I'm going to bring up, for people that haven't read it, they should read it. Yeah. Because it's good. It is good. It took me about 100 pages to really get into it, which is a lot of pages, actually. So, because you read it, and you're like, you're not totally on board with the new characters. Like Snap is in it, but he's not named Snap. He's 10, and you're like, I'm not really on board with this. And then like as soon as you're like, maybe I'll get on board, they cut to these interlude, like these other stories. There's one that's on Jakku, one on Tatooine, where we may or may not see Boba Fett's Mandalorian armor. Okay, and he's hinted at so much and stuff. That you're like, just tell me if he's alive or dead. And then, but the best interlude in it is the Han Solo one. He's with Chewie. I don't really want to ruin it, but I'm going to. And he gets a distress call, and he's like, and there's a mission on Kashyyyk, and he's like, we can go free them. And so they decide to abandon the rebel mission and go there, and that plays a huge factor in Life Debt, at least from what I've read so far in Life Debt. It's already mentioned in Life Debt, like that little interlude that I thought had nothing to do with really anything. And I thought actually before Force Awakens, because the problem with Aftermath, the biggest problem was they advertised it as the journey to the Force Awakens, and it is not. It's not a journey to the Force Awakens whatsoever. Right. It's Jedi ends. People don't know if the Emperor is dead or not. Yeah. There's chaos everywhere. They don't know what's going on. The rebellion's kind of here. Wedge gets captured right away. There's this huge thing, but it has nothing to do with the Force Awakens. Like nothing in it ties with the Force Awakens except for Snap. Yeah. Really. Like, there's not really anything that you're like, oh my God. It
just occurs in that universe.
Yeah, right after Jedi. So, calling it the Journey to the Force Awakens, and then people expect, because it also said Secrets of the Force Awakens. Like, it advertised it as this, and it's not really like that. Yeah. And when you separate it from that, it's way more enjoyable. It's well written. Chuck Wendig, great writer, did a great job writing it. But it does take about 100 pages to get into it. And then you kind of get on board with this new group. These of misfits that get together. One of them is a homosexual character, and it's just in passing. But I thought it was brave to do that. Yeah, threw it in there. And I thought that's who Lars Tekka was going to be.
Yeah.
Was going to be this character, but he wasn't, because they're both described as the exact same. It's just a coincidence, apparently, but whatever. And it's really good, and it gets you. And when it ends with a mysterious character who you learn more about in Life Debt, who is not who you think it is.
Oh,
When you read, well, I'll just tell you who I thought it was when I finished reading it. I thought it was Snoke.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, this is going to be Snoke.
Yeah.
And then I saw the Force Awakens. I was like, that is not going to be Snoke. And people are still thinking it's going to be Snoke. they tell you his name and everything in Life Debt. Like,
yeah.
It starts off with Ray Sloan, who's a new character. Is she in the comics at all?
Say again?
Ray Sloan.
Who is she? Doesn't ring a bell, but I'm pretty bad with these names.
She probably doesn't exist in these comics, because I think
she's a pilot.
Yeah, well, she's pretty much the head of the Empire now. She was a pilot.
No, there's nothing.
So she was huge in a lot of these canon books right now. She's a really big player. Mm-hmm. And this guy is her advisor. And it says she has a secret advisor. So you're like, oh, they're going to keep this a secret for a while.
Right.
And literally, like, the first chapter she's in, they give you his name. You're like, okay, so much for the secret. But the crew is a little... The problem I had with it, the biggest problem I had is Temin's mother, Nora. I think it's Nora. Nora dies like 3 times. There's like you'll be reading and she gets in a TIE fighter, and the TIE fighter crashed and it all went black. You're like, oh, she's dead. And then the next page is like, Nora woke up. I'm like, what? You just made me think she was. And then like again it'll happen. You're like, okay. Then the third, I think it's 3 times. And the third time they mourn her. Not to spoil it, but kind of a spoiler, I guess. But whatever. So you kind of think she's actually dead this time, and it's kind of like, thank you. And then like she showed up in the bar and hugged Tem. I'm like, oh man. So now I haven't got that far into Life Debt, but I'm hoping there are no fake outs, because it was just like every time she almost died, I was like, I don't care, skip it, don't care. But the book ends solid. It ends with them kind of becoming this crew, and then Life Debt continues a few months after that, after Aftermath. Right. And from what I've heard about Life Debt is you need Aftermath to appreciate, even understand it, because these characters are very big in it. But Jakku is going to be a huge thing in these books, and I'm really excited to read more of Life Debt to find that out. So that's my book. I went with Aftermath because people down it a lot, and I know a bunch of people that started reading it and they stopped, but I just think people should just get through it. Yeah, just get through this book, because it's definitely worth it, and it pays off. But and plus you paid for it, so get through it. All right, let's move on to our top. This is our last segment. Last segment. We're gonna go to our top 5s. We're gonna do this every
top 5.
Pew 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 pew. Rebel Scum. Annie.
Top 5. What's our top 5 today?
Our top 5 today is going to be very simple. For the first one, we're just going to go with top 5 movies, Star Wars movies. Okay. We're going to start at 5. We're going to end at 1. These, are we going to include the Ewok movies in our list or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not canon though, so Christmas special is number 1. I love Life Day.
All right. Okay. Fine. No Ewok movies.
All right, so we'll start with 5. Okay. We'll go down to 1. We'll give a little explanation as to why. Go ahead.
So the least favorite of the favorites.
It was really hard to put the list together because they're all like. I just want to say all of them.
It's hard to say this because it's like my number. I went 1 to 5. So my number 5 is Force Awakens because it has to be on there. Like, it's just what they've done, they've revitalized a whole, like a 30-year-old franchise with one movie. It was like, bam, let's do this. And you're good to go. Like, I brought my parents to this movie, and they're like, yes, I am ready for the next movie. So, yeah.
And my number 5 is The Force Awakens.
Oh, my God.
What is going on?
Did you take my parents to the movie, too?
I did. I took mine. And I saw this one. Yeah, I saw this a bunch of times in the theater. I love this movie. This is like, it would have been number 1, but it's number 5.
Yeah.
It was really hard. Like I said, it was really hard to make the list because they're all I would just watch them all. Like you're like, James, can watch Star Wars. Which one are we watching? This one. Like, I wouldn't even ask that question.
You would just throw a disc.
I would just sit there.
And it would go into your Blu-ray player.
It's already in there. I would already go in. All right. But it's number 5 because I think like we were saying earlier, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered that I think will enhance it later on. So it's number 5 for now, but it could easily be number 1.
Yeah.
So number 4.
Number 4. Now I gotta rethink this because we had to take off the Ewok movie.
It was the Caravan of Courage.
That was number 3.
Oh, sorry.
So, okay, no, I'll just go with my original number 4, which is Revenge of the Sith.
Oh,
I liked that one. It was fun, and it's just like, and it was kind of neat to see what the whole plan with the clones were, and it's like, this is how we did it, and you're like, whoa. I mean, do you get a hint of that? I mean, you get the sense that somebody's scheming because they made this clone army and then the Jedis were forced to use it.
But the Jedis do investigate it.
Yeah.
That's what they send Obi Wan on.
But, like, that's the end of Attack of the Clones where Yoda's like, well, I guess we have to use these clones.
But they're very nervous, too, the Jedi are, so.
But, like, Revenge is very cool and, like, I'd argue it's one of the best Obi Wan movies for sure. And it's just... Yeah, I mean,
I remember when it was coming out, Ewan McGregor had an interview, and he said, "Oh, I'm like a James Bond. I'm on my own mission." And stuff. And I was really excited for that.
What's your number 4?
Oddly enough, actually, I'm gonna start. Number 4 was the hardest one for me to put on the list.
Okay,
because I was 6 and 4. It was either going to be 6 or it was going to be 4. And I couldn't really decide, and then I went with my gut and what I actually like. And I went with Revenge of the Sith.
Boom! Da, da, da.
No, I went with Revenge of the Sith right here. It's written down. You can't make that up.
You can't.
I did. I went with Revenge of the Sith for
nice.
Exactly what you said, and we got Vader. We get he's like, from henceforth you'll be known as Darth Vader.
No.
Which was quick. And
though I would like to know why he automatically becomes James Earl Jones by just having a respirator.
Yeah,
on it.
well, something that's going to be a book. You'll find that book. I do like Revenge of the Sith a lot. That last fight, the lightsaber battle, was definitely probably that's actually probably just my 3rd favorite thing. But it's awesome. I love that. I love Obi Wan. I'm not so big on that creature that he rides, but whatever. I love Grievous though.
Yeah. Grievous. That's
love
right.
him.
He's only in the 3rd one.
Yeah, and then
Grievous
the Clone
was
Wars,
really cool, and like all the backstory of him that you learn through other media. But you're just like, wow.
Yeah, I love Grievous. I love the beginning when they killed Dooku right away. Boom. I don't like Ewan McGregor says a line. Oh, what is it? Is the worst delivery of a line. He puts the emphasis on the wrong word. Oh, I'll mention it next time. It's like the worst delivery ever. I love him though. I watch any movie with Obi-Wan Kenobi, but this delivery, it's almost like they just forgot what he was saying. They're in the elevator shaft. That movie. I love the way it ends with Tatooine delivering. I love Bail Organa, who I hope is in Rogue One. I'm going to be disappointed if Jimmy Smith doesn't show up in Rogue One.
He's alive. Put him in there.
I'm definitely going to. At first I was like, well, he might not. But now I'm like, I might actually be disappointed.
That's a good point. Like, Leia could technically be in this movie. I don't think she is.
I don't think
they would
she
have announced it. I mean, they just announced that Han Solo is not going to be in it anymore.
But how do you get the plans to Leia? Through her father. So just...
Imagine they go to Alderaan. Oh.
Let's talk about this next time. All right, let's go to number 3.
Number 3. This was Caravan of Courage. The Ewoks opus. So I'm just going to go with A New Hope because... I didn't have it on the list, and it's good. It's the OG.
And Luke goes to Tashi Station.
Tashi Station. Oh, Tashi Station is mentioned in the Star Wars Obi-Wan. Like, straight up, I'm like, boom, I'm in.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's a movie that I watched when I was a child, and it started a love affair that has outdone many women in my life. And, like, you can't not have it. It changed movie making, like the sci-fi genre forever, right? So,
yeah.
And what's your number 3?
Same one.
Oh, Jesus!
it could easily be number 1. there's no way this is like less than number 3 though, because it's just, I mean, it started it all too, so it almost deserves to be number 1.
It's just not as rich as the other two.
Which it couldn't be, because the other two wouldn't be as rich without it. So it's a trade-off. But again, like I said, I've been saying the whole list, just throw one in there. Throw one on the TV. I will sit and I will watch it and enjoy it. I don't care. But yeah, I mean, it's Obi Wan's introduction. Yeah. And the lore that he gives to Luke right away, tells him about his father and Vader killing him, and then the Clone Wars are mentioned. Like, there's so much happening in it without ever happening. Yeah, exactly. They just say it, it happens. You're like, what? Yeah, he does one little speech of exposition in 6 years of TV. 6 years of TV, a whole premise for movies. Yeah, everything. Okay, number 2. Number 2. People might find this shocking. Empire Strikes Back. Why? I can't really explain it without saying number 1. I just really like Return of the Jedi a lot more, but I'll go into that more. But like, it's Empire. I mean, I think it's what really, what A New Hope. I was like, wow, this is a cool new movie. Like, look at that. It's a space battle and it looks real. Blah blah blah. But then Empire was like, it didn't, like, as everyone says, it doesn't end on a good note. Like, our heroes are separated. We're lost. It looks like the bad guys have won, even though there's been a lot of improvement in the characters. Luke knows so much about his past now. He knows where he is a Jedi. He's gonna become a Jedi. And now he has this family because he's lost his family in A New Hope. All the people he knew, his aunt and uncle, Biggs Darklighter, and Obi-Wan. Even though he was a crazy Ben Kenobi, like, two droids land on Tatooine and destroy a guy's life. So now he has his family he has to help out, and then they're kind of ripped apart. So you're like, oh man, that's crazy. Plus, space slugs and meteors. And what's your number 2? You might find this surprising. But it's the Empire Strikes Back. We didn't even go over this list before.
No, this is legit.
This is funny.
Except for the Caravan of Courage.
That one we talked about for days. Same reasons as you. Han Carbonite, though. Awesome. Best ending. Finding out more about Luke and his family. The beginning on Hoth is one of the best openings.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like it as much as my number 1 pick. Yeah, it's there. I think. Anyway, yeah, it's Empire. Empire's Empire. Like again, it could be number 1. Who cares? Like, this is a weird top 5. Okay, number 1.
Number 1. I already said it. Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie for so many reasons. It's just, you find out so many things. You get that great conclusion. Good triumphs over evil. You get cool aliens, Ewoks, Rancors, Jabba the Hutt, all his people in his palace, Admiral Akbar, Nien Nunb. It's like it's great. It's what it's supposed to. I think what he set out to do. You're like, oh, we'll have there's other aliens there, but we can only do it in a cantina bar, and then Chewbacca's everywhere. It's just humans. No. We got this alien doing this and that alien doing that. Like, oh man, this is so cool. So it's just great, and I don't know. It's awesome. What's your number 1?
My number 1, you'll find shocking, The Return of the Jedi. Actually, Phantom Menace almost did make my list. I'm a
little surprised because
I'm a sucker for that movie. I really am. I don't know what it is. I think it's Qui-Gon though. I think I'm just a sucker. Liam Neeson's great. Yeah. All right. And plus, it's the only prequel that they shot on sets really. So it's like the only one that looks like a film. And it was shot on film too, I think. And the other ones were all digital. But anyway, Jedi. It's got to be Jedi because we're that age where Jedi happened. I think I was born. You weren't. But it was whatever. It was that age though where it was fun adventure, which kids are drawn to. And then we take that with us our whole lives. And plus, Jabba the Hutt is the best. Yeah. I love
Jabba. He's
a
puppet for crying out loud.
I know. You know what? When they redid when they remastered them and the special edition came out in the theater, I was so excited for more Jabba and A New Hope. I'm like, Jabba, we're gonna see him. And they had that actor with the fur. It looked like Fred Flintstone walking around.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that's not Jabba. And then they showed Jabba, and I was like, well, he still doesn't. Whatever, it's Jabba. I don't care. Then when he shows up Phantom Menace, I'm like, Jabba. I love Jabba the Hutt. I love that world.
Yeah.
That he lives in.
Yeah.
I got the Battlefront season pass. I can play in his palace. I get excited to play in his palace. I love it. Yeah, every time I'm in his palace, I'm like, look, I'm in the palace.
Yeah.
I run around. I love that. Ewoks, Yoda dying.
Okay, I forgot about Yoda.
Yoda's, it's funny because he's only in that movie for like a minute.
Yeah.
He shows it, he's like, I'm dead. But you remember Yoda in that movie. He has such his Yoda's presence is one of those ones where this is why I think Maz a little disappointed me a little bit. Yoda has like his presence in the movie is so you feel it's so more it's more powerful than Maz's was. Whereas you take Maz out of the movie, it doesn't not much changes necessarily. But
she's just there to give you information.
Yeah, which is cool. It's fine, but Yoda is too. But there's something about him that you're just like, oh my gosh, he's got me. Like he's in it for a minute and then he dies and you're like, oh man, Yoda.
Yeah.
And then he shows up at the end. I'm like, yeah. And like I said, he shows up at the end with Obi Wan and Hayden Christensen,
depending on which version you're looking.
When I was a kid, I must have been like 3 years old when I watched it the first time.
Yeah.
I had to ask who that guy was because I didn't know that was Anakin. How am I supposed to know? I'm 3. Like, I can't read. And I like that they put Hayden Christensen. And people are like, but that's not what he looked like. But that was the last moment he had the light side.
Right, yeah.
Was as Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
That's it. So,
Obi Wan says it right. That day he stopped being Anakin Skywalker and started being Darth Vader. So.
Exactly. And so that's the last moment. So I think that makes sense. Now, if you bring him into episode 8, all of a sudden it's justified even more. And it makes more sense if he's a Force ghost in episode 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever. Anyway, speaking of which, that's our list.
Wow.
We both have the
spot
same
on.
list.
That's why we're doing this.
Yeah. No, next week will be completely different.
Yeah, probably.
We're doing, I don't know what next week's is, but it's written down somewhere. But, okay, episode 8's coming out in a year and a bit, year and a half, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think, let's do this now. Let's say if you think it'll be on the top 5 and where on the top 5 you think it will be.
Number 8 in this top 5 we just did?
Episode 8, yeah.
Probably 3 or 4, because you got a lot to do to outdo Empire and Return.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people will disagree. It'll never beat Empire, just because of longevity of Empire, right? Like it needs a couple of years. Like Force Awakens could arguably be better than Empire someday, but like Empire was like oh, we can have a movie that has a sad ending.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And I think it'll be called Escape from New York. Episode 8.
Episode 8. Escape from New York.
From New Coruscant.
You've read that comic, though, when isn't it Han Solo goes back in time or something? Or Indiana Jones finds like the remains
Shut
of
up.
You've read that, right? It's like a real comic. I'm being serious. You've read it, right?
Patton Oswalt's filibuster from
Parks but that's based on something, isn't it?
Oh, that's just internet garbage.
Yeah, let's cut that part out.
Though
I would read that though, and I would watch that movie.
I don't know
them both.
How many of these things you follow, but the one good thing about Instagram is there's like this new trend of people having Instagram feeds that's facts from certain things.
Yeah.
Like Marvel facts, DC facts, and there's Star Wars facts.
Yeah.
Some of them are lame, but one I read recently was apparently in Return of the Jedi when the Twi'lek dancer falls into the Rancor pit. Ula, the green one.
Yeah.
The actual actor, as she fell, her top came off. Of course, we don't see it in the movie. I'm pretty sure someone would have noticed that by now. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
And get your DVDs out. Freeze frame. So, I think it'll be somewhere between 2 and 4.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be 5. I think it'll be better than that.
Yeah.
Now we're setting us up.
It's going to be better than New Hope.
I think so.
Because The Force Awakens is now, I would argue, even though I didn't put it in the list.
Yeah.
I think Force Awakens is better than New Hope.
Yeah, I would say that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much the same.
It's basically the same movie, but...
I mean, no, I would definitely agree. And that's why I think it was number 5, though, was because it was almost too similar in a lot of ways.
Yep.
but also it's too new. And Star Wars started it all, so you can't have it not.
Yeah.
But I think
for the
episode
time
8,
being.
episode 8 could be better. It could be the best one. It could be number 1 for all we know. We don't know if there are Ewoks in it or space monkeys. Well, now maybe Rogue One. Where's Rogue One going to be on this list?
I don't know.
That one, like I said, they haven't shown any new footage aside from that sizzle reel. But the commercial and the trailer have been the exact same thing.
I guess if we do this podcast for the next 5 years, then we can do this again in 5 years.
Well,
on our 5th anniversary of this
years.
podcast, we'll say, because by then we'll have, 4 more movies?
We'll have a new Han Solo.
Holy crap.
We'll talk about that another
We'll
time.
talk about that,
Yeah.
All right.
That's the show.
Yeah, we've gone a good hour and a half.
I think it's been 10 minutes.
It has not. All right, so this has been Rebel Scum Podcast. May the Force be with you, James.
What? I'm not going to some kind of Jedi.
I fall in love with you every time.
I can't even do it well today. I'm too hoarse.
All right, well, we hope you listen to this sometime soon in the next episode.
Yeah, before the next one, because spoilers are coming.
Pew, 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 pew.
See you guys.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.